Hi everyone, welcome to your tutorial for our squishy wake and move foot roller. So this is an amazing sensory experience for your body, and this soft supple foot roller helps to sort of hydrate the connective tissue that can oftentimes get dried out and kind of hard and can create pain. And we might experience that as plantar fasciitis or just achy feet, tired feet. And so as we go through this tutorial, we will be working to bring some awareness and bring some blood flow back into the muscles and the connective tissue of the soles of the feet. Literally waking up, wake and move. Some areas that maybe don't get a whole lot of loving in our everyday. And this has been something that some of my students have said has helped them to feel their feet again. Some of them are dealing with some neuropathy in their feet, and after doing some work on the foot roller, they are able to feel their feet. They're much more aware of them. They can feel some warmth and circulation into their feet. And several of my students have also expressed how this helps to reduce the pain that they feel in their feet. So I'm going to show you several different ways to use these today. As you can tell, I'm doing this with my hands also, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do some of this work with your hands also, if that is an area that's talking to you a little bit. But go ahead, grab your foot roller, and you can do this practice either seated or standing, and let's begin. Okay, so let's begin sitting. And let's just get a little before picture of how our feet are feeling. So just sitting comfortably in your chair, perhaps towards the front edge of it so you could be seated tall. And just feel the soles of your feet on the floor. And take a moment just to take a breath here. And just notice how your feet are feeling. Notice how they are resting on the ground. Just getting a little before shot. Now, we're going to place our roller underneath either foot. I'm starting with my right foot. And just applying, not even really pressure, just let the weight of your foot relax into the roller. We are slowly going to roll forward and back, up and down the length of the foot. So we're rolling from the heel all the way towards the toes. Take your time and go slow with this. Really let your foot feel that experience of being stimulated, a little movement massage here is starting to wake up the sole of your foot. Good. Let's just do that another time, forward and back. And now kind of roll your foot to the outer edge a little bit. And same thing, just roll forward and back on that outer edge of your foot. So we have about 26 bones in our feet, which is a lot, right? And all of the muscles that surround them and connect them and the connective tissue. So there's a lot going on there. I'll come back to center, and I'm just going to roll to the inner edge of my foot and massage up and down along my arch. And we use our feet daily. They are what carry us through life, and they are, I think, one of the most neglected parts of our bodies. And so it's vital, really, to keep our feet healthy and happy, and especially as we age, because this is where we experience balance and our proprioception of getting a sense of where we are in the space around us. Come back to center, and again, just go from heel to toes. That's how we experience the world. I call it our internal GPS, which is found in our joints and largely in our ankle joints. And so if our ankle is stiff and the muscles of the foot are stiff, then we're not going to have as good a perception or proprioception of where we are, how is our balance, where is center, and that's when we can start to have some problems. All right, so come back to center and just let the heel of your foot rest on the floor. So you're making a little wedge. And this is a really tiny movement just in your toes. So I'm just going to lift my toes up. I'm pressing down through the ball of my foot and not letting my heel lift at all. And then relax the toes back down. And we'll do that again. Lift your toes up. That's a fun exercise in and of itself. And relax them back down. And again, lift your toes. And lower. Let's just do that one more time. Lift. And lower. And let everything relax for a moment. Roll your roller forward and just place that foot back on the floor. Pause for a moment, take a breath, and notice if you feel any different between your 2 feet. Good. Now take your roller and place it underneath your other foot, and we're going to go through that same series. So we're going to roll nice and slow forward and back from the heel of the foot to the toes. So once you get the knack of this, you can do this anytime, anywhere. Of course, I love to keep the mindfulness of it, so making this a mindfulness practice where you might sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and go through this, really paying attention to what you're doing. But you're still going to get all of the wonderful benefit of this if you are doing this in front of the television, if you have a little foot roller underneath your desk, and you're doing this throughout the day. Your body will love you just the same. So maybe there's a balance to be found between going through the movement, giving your body some loving, and then finding some more mindful moments to practice this as well. Okie dokie. We're going to come back to center, and we're going to roll onto that outer edge of our foot, rolling forward and back. And just notice how this is feeling on this side. So our bodies are all different from one side to the other. You might have more tightness in one side, more sensation, less sensation. So just kind of notice what's going on here. That's our mindfulness piece, bringing in our awareness. Good. All right, come back to center. Now we're going to roll onto the inner edge of the foot into the arch and just rock forward and back. Almost as good as having somebody give you a foot rub. So this is a form of self-massage, which is a wonderful nourishment practice. We'll just do a couple more here. You might get a little hamstring workout here too, bonus on that. Okay, come back to center and just do one more little swipe up and back, and you may have noticed I kind of had to reset my roller, so it'll start to roll away from you. You'll just pull it back in, get it back in place. Okay. All right, and then we're going to make our wedge. So place your heel onto the floor, rest the ball of the foot onto your roller, and begin to slowly peel your toes up. Now, we didn't do this on the first side, but maybe visually look down, but also notice sensorily. How does your foot feel here? Does it feel like you're kind of rolling to the big toe? My tendency is to do that. I'm exaggerating that here. Or roll to your little toe. And just see if you can keep the weight of your foot balanced as you pull your toes up and relax them back down. Good. So equal weight from the ball of the big toe to the ball of the little toe as we lift and lower. Just the toes. We'll do 2 more nice and slow. Lift and lower and lift and lower. Relax. Good. And then just place your foot back onto the floor and notice how this side feels. And let's take a breath. Lovely. So we're going to come up to standing for the second part of this. You can absolutely do this from seated in a chair if that is a better position for you to be in. You will just go through these movements. We're going to do little pumps with the foot in various positions. And so you can totally do that from your chair. But if you're able to, please come on up to standing. Now you might use your chair for a little balance here, or a wall if you have one nearby. And we're going to come into our mountain pose where we're about hips width apart with our feet. And just take a moment again to notice, how do your feet feel on the floor? Is your weight drawn more to one side than the other, or a little forward or back? So just kind of noticing how you're situated here. And then we're going to place our roller underneath our right foot. And we want to make that little wedge again with the heel on the floor, the ball of the foot on the roller. And our tendency is going to be to want to do this with, in this case, your left leg a little further back. We're going to, though, keep the feet in line with each other, so it's going to feel a little funny. So you're still in that parallel stance. And we want to take our gaze forward and up rather than down, because then everything is curling towards the floor. And we want to find this quality of lifting and opening and gazing forward. And so we're just going to do these tiny little bounces. And we just want our weight to drop right down through center. So just notice if your weight's over on that right side, bring it back. So equal weight on both feet. And there is this quality of rebounding. So as we're pressing down into that squishy ball, you might, and might not at first, but over time, you might start to get a sense of this rebounding effort coming back up from the squishy ball. So we're squishing it down, and then there's this energy coming back up. This is what begins to plump and hydrate our connective tissue and start to wake up the diaphragm and the sole of the foot, which is our arch. So just a couple more little bitty bounces. Ooh, lots of sensation there, yes. And then hold. And then just take a little roll, smooth, slow roll forward and back. If I didn't mention this already, this particular movement will aid greatly in improving your balance. Pretty amazing, all right? Okay, now we want to make our wedge with the heel on the ball, the toes on the floor, feet parallel to each other, lifting the heart, gazing up and out, and just little bounces. So again, try to keep your weight centered, just dropping straight down through your pelvis, down into the heel, down into that squishy ball, and maybe over time starting to feel a very subtle, it's just a very subtle experience of that rebounding energy, support, suppleness of the ball coming back up into your feet. So we have this relationship with gravity that's not a one-way relationship. It's not all about going down. It's important that we feel this coming up in the body. This is called ground force reactivity. And it's a two-way street. What goes down must come up. Yes, so let's just do a couple more. You're just breathing naturally. Little quad workout there, and pause. And then we're going to roll that foot out again. Move your roller away. Stand side by side with your feet, hips width apart. And just notice what might feel different between those two sides. And so you might notice a difference just in your feet, but it's very likely that you're going to feel that all the way up the leg and into the hip as well. Good. Let's go to the other side. So we start with just a little roll on the sole of that foot. Okay, we make our wedge, heel on the floor, ball of the foot on your roller, standing side by side with your feet. Center your weight, lift your heart, gaze out in front of you, and just feel your weight dropping gently down. Just little bounces. And again, you may just start to feel over time that quality of the bounce coming back up into your body. It's like when you're on a trampoline, yeah? So this is the movement of any diaphragm in the body, whether it's the diaphragm in the throat, what we know is our breathing diaphragm, the pelvic floor, or the arch of the foot. It has a soft, supple movement that moves up and down. And sometimes it just forgets how to do that. So we're helping it to remember. So just maybe 2 more little bounces. And then hold. And just roll that foot out a little bit. Make your wedge the other way with your heel onto the roller, toes on the floor, side by side with your feet, hips width apart. Center your weight, lift your heart, lift your gaze, and bounce. There's another really interesting thing that happens with this rebounding type of movement, or this little bounce, is that it self-regulates the nervous system. So there's all kinds of good stuff going on just by thinking about our feet. Good, keep going. Last one. And lift and hold. Move that roller. Oops, just do a little smooth out there. A little forward and back. We're going to move that roller out of the way. Feel both feet on the floor again. Amazing. That feels totally different. How does it feel for you? Yeah, take a breath. I feel taller and more grounded all at the same time. So pretty cool stuff here. So let me just show you real quick, for those of you who did this sitting, that second part sitting, same idea is that here, when we're doing our pumps, it's a little bit more work in the ankle, which really could be an exercise in and of itself, because these muscles are vital for us to be able to get the lift of our toes when we're walking. So if those muscles become a little sleepy and maybe aren't working as well, we're more likely to trip over our toes. So this is a great exercise to strengthen the muscles of the ankles as well. So that's 1. And 2 is the heel pump. And so you get a little bit of calf work there. Again, these 2 movements that I've just shown you here, seated, could be an exercise in and of themselves, and they would be fabulous to do. Alrighty. So there is your Wake and Move foot roller tutorial. I hope that is helpful to you, and these are by no means all the exercises that we can do with this. So get creative, see what feels good in your body. I've been known to place this between my hip and a wall and roll up and down it, and it feels amazing. So remember, it doesn't just have to be for your feet. You can work your hands. You can work the forearms. The idea is that we are hydrating tissue, and we are stimulating blood flow and helping to bring ease and comfort and reduce pain and tension. So thank you all so much for joining me. I'll see you next time around. Bye.